Hey guys, my name's Bethany and welcome to another video. Today we are going back to Planet Zoo and we're going to be finishing up the front entrance and staff areas for the Living Museum, which is the zoo that I'm making. And we're also going to be making our first animal exhibit, which is going to be a flamingo habitat. And I know, I get it. Flamingos in front of the zoo, not a revolutionary concept. However, I think it's just very fitting. I've been to a ton of zoos. I'm kind of a zoo fanatic, and often at the front of the zoo you're going to find a smaller, grab you, the first animal you're going to see, you're already excited about it, exhibit. And a lot of zoos, that's flamingos. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm just finishing up this front area here in this front little entrance, I guess. And if you haven't seen the first part, I'll link it down below. I highly recommend you watch it. And we are just doing the front in that first video. And I'm really excited. I think it's going to come together. I'm putting a lot more detail into it. You can see we have the border patterns on the top and bottom. And then I'm also putting in some potted plants as well as some animal signs. And then in this side here, we're eventually going to cut out a bit of the wall and make a staff pathway. We need a staff building or a break room, I guess, for these employees that are inside the information center, as well as these 4 shops. And I don't want it to be too far away because I feel like sometimes the little workers like to wander off to a whole bunch of other places whenever they're not doing their jobs, whenever they're trying to find a break room, or a staff room. So I wanted to put one close, and I couldn't figure out where to put the little, I guess, tunnel to get there. So I put it right here, and I put a nice staff sign, and I think it ends up looking pretty good. And I'm actually a big fan of the staff area. It's got, all the basic stuff you need to start your zoo, like the quarantine area and the vets and all of those different places. So that'll be back in this corner on the other side of the entrance. And then also up here at the front, I'm going to end up knocking it down the wall on the other side of the shops. And we're going to make a little, I don't know what to call it. I think I talked about it last time. It's basically I don't know. At the zoo that I used to work at, we had a building at the front that was mostly nursing mothers and a quiet room for moms to use if you wanted to nurse, or if you had a special needs child or adult that needed somewhere quiet. We had one of those at the front. So I kind of wanted something like that. And then also a little medical area that was kind of attached to that building that we had, but I couldn't quite accomplish that with the building objects that we have currently in game. I know that's not very practical for them to add in. I would love an administrative area where you could have offices, or a security office, or the things that are in normal zoos or normal businesses. HR, I'd love a place like that, but obviously we don't have the stuff for that. I'm sure if I went on the workshop, I could probably find something that would equate to what I need, but I didn't really want to download much of anything off the workshop for at least a while in this zoo. So I'm putting in the other spawning area. I wanted it to be on either side, they're maybe walking from a parking lot or from the street. So they're walking from both sides. And boy, did I have to cut out a lot in this video. I spent so much. I think I had raw footage, probably 4.5 hours of footage whenever I started. And I know I could have cut this into multiple videos, but I wanted the first animal exhibit to finally show up in this episode. So I knew all the stuff that I was doing, I'd have to cut some of it out. So the placing of these staff buildings, I kind of cut most of that out. But you'll see the decorations and stuff, and I fiddled with signs for a very long time. So I cut most of that out. And then I wanted it to be, as realistic as we can get. Obviously, like I was saying, you don't have certain items that would make it look really, really realistic, but in a lot of zoos, you're going to have an area that's the medical complex that I know where they prepare the animal food and stuff. So I wanted this to kind of be that area, and then there's like usually a maintenance sector where there's warehouses, the maintenance. A lot of times they do maintenance on grounds for like the little golf carts and the vehicles and whatever, and the rides that you'll see in a normal zoo. So I kind of tried to mimic that kind of area of a zoo back here. I made some outdoor seating for the staff because that's something you would usually find as well, like near the break room. And I put a couple of those different ones in there. And I also don't like to put roofs on the staff buildings. I know that they have the signs that you can place on top of the decorative roofs where you can still tell what building it's supposed to be. Like, for instance, the quarantine building or staff building or something, they have those little signs you can place on top of roofs. But I like to be able to like immediately see what building it is from above. I think that's more practical for actual gameplay. So that's what I ended up doing, is just leaving them blank. But I did still want to decorate them so that they're not as impactful for guests, because I know you can make them like put decorations on there and it decreases the radius for where guests are impacted. So I wanted to fix that up as much as I could. I think it still clips a little bit on this main pathway at the end, so I'm gonna have to revisit that and see if I can get that percentage down a little bit, or up, or you know what I'm saying. And then we're coming here at the front, and my worst enemy, my nemesis, is pathways. I am so bad at the pathways in Planet Zoo. I cannot figure out how to make them do what I want, especially on raised platforms. I know there's probably a way to do it, and I just need to like watch some more videos or whatever. But especially this section, I can't get the sides to match. Like, the inclines are always different. There's always some weird like 45-degree angle drop on one side whenever it's going down, and it's just not realistic. I mean, I could leave it. I've done that in my past zoos that I've done on my own, as well as a couple episodes that I put on YouTube whenever I was doing this a few months back. But you can see right there on the right, it's got that weird like sharp down angle, and I can't get it to match on either side, and I can't get it to look realistic. So I ended up scrapping that. I know there's probably a better way to do it, but the path tools in this game just kick my butt. I don't know. So we're gonna start the flamingo habitat, and we're just gonna make it right here. Now, starting out, I do not like how it looks. I tweaked it quite a bit towards the end, and I like it better, but I don't think it's my best habitat that I've ever made. But that's okay. We're only gonna get better from here. My favorite thing to do, or I guess what I do a lot when making my animal habitats, is to terraform a lot, to use the terrain tools to make it like almost unrealistically terraformed. So one of my old zoos, or the first like serious zoo that I did, the orangutan habitat had like this really cool, almost like alien looking, like it's really hard to describe. I might try and put a picture up here because I might have a picture, but it had like the little almost like tendrils or tendrils, I guess, of what would be, I guess, just like rock or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's a place that exists in the world where I got this idea. I know I probably didn't make it up myself, but I don't know where it's from. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm into. I like raised platforms. I like making mountains. I like, for the shelters, instead of using the Planet Zoo like metal or wood shelters, I like to make it out of rock or out of the terrain. But I know at a certain point that can like look way too weird, but I'm probably going to end up going back to that. I know I said last episode the zoo that I had before is I had a like terrain tunnel through the mountains on the right that went to Africa in that section, and then on the left I had a terrain tunnel through some short mountains that went into Asia and things like that. So I'll probably end up going back to that because I think it looks really cool, even if it doesn't look super realistic. I'm probably going to put like a river that flows in and out of the zoo as well, because I think that just makes it look a little bit more natural or something. I don't think you can get, like, I know some people who are very good builders can make things look realistic and natural, but I'm not quite on that level. We might get there eventually, but I don't think I am right now. So I'm going to spend a lot of time messing with the terrain and the water in this habitat. And I know the last time I tried to make a flamingo habitat that I made it too small at first, and then flamingos breed so stinking rapidly, and they're so happy with like billions of them living in one habitat that it was like within 12 flamingos being in there was too small. So I didn't want to make it too small this time. I didn't want to have to worry about it. I am going to put like the majority of them on birth control after they have their first round of babies probably. But like I said, I didn't want it to be too small, but I also made it way too big at first. So I fixed it and made it smaller. I don't know if the keepers can get to this little feeder pool that I was just trying to put in. So I tried to build that up a little bit, but it's still like halfway in the water. So I'm going to have to like play test that to see if it actually works. But I just want to get the basics in here. I wanted to make sure the terrain and whatever was good, and then I'll go back through and tweak it so it looks a little bit better. And don't worry, I'm going to like hide some of this back fence and, you guessed it, rocks and in the terrain manipulation. So it'll, I don't know, I really like where it looks, I don't know, almost like it's coming out of a cave, or they built it up against a rock formation or something. I really like how that looks. So no matter how repetitive it was of my other zoos that I've made, I'm probably going to do it again because that's just what makes me happy. And then after the flamingos, I have no idea what animals I'm going to do next. So I'm probably going to get back in Planet Zoo this week and do the next habitat. So I'm very excited. And I did download the Australian pack, and I feel like Australian animals are generally, at least in the zoos that I've been to, kind of near usually like the entrance or maybe like the children's zoo area, especially like the walk-through wallabies, habitats that they usually include in zoos and whatever, or they're in like their own little section. So I might put that towards the left, and maybe we'll have like a little fake children's zoo. I wish there were some like playgrounds or something that's very targeted towards kids for the zoo, because zoos are generally like a family destination in real life. So I wish they had kind of like they had in Zoo Tycoon and Zoo Tycoon 2, where you could, or I guess I'm just thinking of the original one, which is the one I mostly played, where they had like the playgrounds or like the swan boats on the lake. Oh, that was a cool feature. You know, things you can do with families. They're like little animatronic houses they had and whatever. I wish there was something like that, and I know they'll probably come out with more as they go along, but I can't wait. And where there is a lake or a pond, there must be a little rock stack. So we had to put one of those in. And I wish the flamingos could take a little bit more foliage. I'd love to put some water plants in there, but still have, you know, some tree coverage, but they really don't like it. That's one thing I've noticed in the game is a lot of the animals don't like a lot of foliage, which kind of sucks for decorating. But I'm also kind of a stickler when it comes to making animal habitats, because I feel like I have to get them as close to 100% happiness as possible. So I can't let myself like over decorate, even if, you know, it looks better, because I want the animals to be happy. And we're making this little side viewing area as well, and I put a toy or an enrichment item over there, so hopefully they go visit occasionally, because I wanted the guests to be able to see them. And then the age-old trick of putting nettles around the edge of the pathing here. These plants would be utterly trampled. People would be stepping all over them, trying to press themselves up against the glass. There's no way those plants would survive. But that's the great thing about Planet Zoo, is they can survive. Because though the guests may sometimes steal things or break things, generally, the majority of them are not buttholes who will climb over fences or trample plants like in the real world. And then I'm just going around making sure, things look good. And then I decided to do this other back employee area. And I realized at first I had forgot to put in a workshop. So that's there. And then it's, of course, got our power and water. And then I'm going to put another, employee sitting area back here. In real life, this would probably be, the smoking area, I'm sure. Where they were away from guests and back here smoking. And then I'm fixing some of this. I'll probably add some more stuff to it whenever we get to more exhibits around it, to kind of tie them in. But at the moment, we're just going to be fancying up and trying to hide the employee walkway here. So I'm going to put some bamboo. That's a very common tactic in real life, is lining paths with bamboo or hiding things with bamboo that you don't want the majority of people to see. So I thought I'd go with that. And then I'm just going to put some rocks in, kind of jazz up the area, a tree, some foliage, and a bench, something like you would be sitting there watching the flamingos, chilling, hanging out. And then I'm assuming next time we'll do another animal habitat, and then right past that I'll probably put one of the main food courts. I feel like in this game people are very picky. They either don't go to the food areas at all, or they need one every 5 feet. And they don't ever seem to need toilets. They'll complain about it after they've been in the zoo for 8 hours or something, but they don't ever need toilets. So I don't tend to put as many of those in as probably would be realistic, or I put more in and then I just don't care about what it costs. Thank God for Sandbox. I tried franchise for a while, especially whenever I was attempting to participate in the community challenges where you had to breed 20,000 tigers or whatever, or the whole community had to breed tigers or elephants or whatever, and I was participating in those for a while, which was basically the only reason I would ever use franchise, because Sandbox is so much more fun in my opinion. I know that challenges are fun, but also I don't want to have to sit there with my game playing and my animals dying while I'm waiting for money. So we stick with Sandbox. You can see I'm back here trying to jazz up these buildings, like I said, to get their negative radius down so they don't bother the guests, since they're just on the other side of that wall. And I also feel if you put up a wall in front of it, that should immediately negate everything. You shouldn't be able to feel through the wall at all. No guest should be walking next to whatever building this is if there's a wall and they literally can't see it and get upset. But I know that's why they did this new system of putting decorations and whatever. But I wish it was just 100% physically stopped at a barrier. And this bike, for some reason, I couldn't get it to line up. I don't know how this bike works here. But it just felt weird. It didn't feel like it was actually made for the base. It felt like the tire would hit it, but whatever. And then I quickly figured out that benches can only be on pathways. So I had to fix that. And you can see I'm struggling with pathways again, forever and ever. That'll forever be the bane of my existence, are pathways. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you really liked it, and if you did, please give it a like so more people can find us. Subscribe if you like Planet Zoo and Sims content. We'll be doing a whole bunch of that, plus new games coming up soon. And if you like books or other content like that, I do have another YouTube channel for books and lifestyle content called Bethany McCowan, just under my name. I'll link that, as well as a blog called The Entertainment Room, where we do books, Disney, and more. And then, of course, my Instagram if you want book reviews or just nice, pretty pictures. So I'll link all those down below. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!